For most people, the hardest part of building a custom home isn't picking out the design, it's actually figuring out the financing. So you're paying for your mortgage on your existing home while applying for another mortgage on your new home, and all while incurring closing costs and all the financial burdens that come with building a new home. In this video, we'll break down how one simple mortgage can make your dream home easier and less stressful to build.
So Paul, as a custom home builder, what was your biggest problem when you would have a family who's ready to go, ready to buy, and wants to move forward with their new custom home?
When we talk to people, invariably they're super excited about the idea of building the custom home just for them, all the design, all their input, solve all their needs. They're very excited. What they hate is the thought of, okay, now when I build this thing, I have to go into temporary housing, or worse, I have to move in with my in-laws, and then how am I going to pay 2 mortgage payments, right? And then there's out of pocket closing costs. So all these things start to add up, and while everyone loves the idea of custom home building, those are significant obstacles that people have to deal with in their real life. And let's face it, the thought of temporary housing and all, or moving in with the in-laws and all those other things, that associated costs, that's a situation that needs to be overcome.
Yeah, you've got someone who's gung-ho and ready to go forward. And not only is it logistical challenge, right? Like, hey, okay, so am I taking my kids out of the school district? You know, when am I moving my kids? Am I going to upset their performance in school? You've got dogs. How am I going to, relocate and find housing? But you've got the financial trouble too on top of it, right? 2 mortgages.
Yeah, it's
closing costs.
It's life, right? Like the concept is great. I love everything about building and new and forming and all that, but I have to solve all those things that you just brought up. Like, so I got to be able to, if I'm going to do this, I want to feel good about it. I want to have peace of mind that I'm going to be in a good spot all the way, during construction, all the way to the end, and being able to move in my home.
You said a really interesting term there, which is peace of mind, right? Because think of a head of household getting ready to make a decision to move his family into a new custom home that they want to build, but knowing he has to take the responsibility of juggling 2 payments, right? Closing costs, it would start to feel risky.
Maybe not risky, but just, I don't know what the word is. It's a lot to have to overcome, right? It's a lot to think about, and each family's a little bit different. Is it the moving component that's the biggest thing, or the thought of, extra out of pocket to make it happen, or the extra payments? And, it's a little bit different for each such scenario. But I think what's most important is that, in home building, it's really fun to be creative and innovative. But when it comes to finance, you have to have that same kind of innovation that solves for people's situation, their needs, the obstacles, to be able to overcome that. And I think that's where, when you can bring the financing and the home together in a package that solves those problems, then you really got something. So Matt, maybe take us through, like, how is it done in the past, and then how is it different now?
Yeah. So in the past, you had a current homeowner who was looking to build a new home, and they would go to the bank and apply for a mortgage. And the most common response is, you already have a mortgage, and you're going to have to qualify for a second mortgage. And with your income, you don't qualify for 2 mortgages. So that's a hard stop right there. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, you don't qualify. And then some would get more creative, and they would say, if you really want to go through with this, you're going to need to sell your current home, right? And so now you've told this family that they need to sell their home, find temporary housing, stay in that temporary housing while their new home gets built for, however many months that takes. And then they can move a second time, right? From that temporary housing into their new home. And so that was a common way that that the process was held up or it got done.
Yep. So I've been around finance my whole life. I've heard that response. I've seen that. I was on the board of Freddie Mac, and we saw all different scenarios, but those were typically that situation was not easily addressable in the market. So, what has changed now? Like, tell us the new program to overcome the situation you just described.
Yeah, and so the program that we've rolled out is a program called YOMO, and it stands for You Only Move Once. And essentially, what we're doing is solving a future homeowner's biggest problem of they're in a home, but they don't qualify to build another home. And so what we attempted to do in rolling this program out was hit every single red light and turn it into a green light. So a customer could make an informed decision and a responsible decision, and one that they're ultimately comfortable with. So, one thing that was stopping that customer right away was, well, hey, I don't have any money for closing costs, right? I know it's a construction loan. I know I have to come up with something with closing costs. All the funds that I have are, in equity in my current home. And so I'll just stop right there. But what we've done is that Schumacher Homes has jumped in and said, don't worry about that. We'll cover the closing costs, right? And so that got them past that first red light. And then the second stopping point was customers would say, well, I can't afford 2 payments during the process. I'm currently paying my mortgage for the home that my family lives in, but I can't afford to pay another payment to build this new home. And Schumacher Homes steps in again, and Schumacher Homes says, don't worry about it. We'll cover that cost. So now we've turned another red light to a green light. And finally, we're in a position where that customer is now able to get all the way through the financing spectacle and then go ahead and have their home completed and sell that home and then take the proceeds that they've got from that sold home and put those into their new loan.
And then that serves as their down payment to make this whole transaction happen?
It's exactly right.
Yep.
It's exactly right. And I didn't even touch on the point, you only move once, right? No temporary housing, right? None of that. And as a bank, we're able to do that because when we know the builder is stepping in and making the mortgage payment, well, we can make a decision at that point that we don't really need to account for that payment because someone else is making it on their behalf. And so we're able to work in our portfolio space and have a program that allows these borrowers, these people, a chance to accomplish their dream without moving twice.
Yeah, and I know, I've talked to friends who've built in this program, and it is so nice because, again, they can get on with all the fun stuff, the design, everything they want in their home, and actually start without putting up a for sale sign or calling realtors or all those things that are moving twice, that they can just focus on the build and then everything happens at the end, which it really works out in the most, homeowner friendly manner possible.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. You take a lot of that out of it, right? It makes it very simple so that homeowners can concentrate on building the home. They sign on that contract agreement and really it's smooth sailing until the end when they say, hey, our home's done. It's time to sell our departing residents.
So I think it'd be helpful, Matt, and I know a lot of customers have had this question, is so when exactly do I put my existing home on the market, timing-wise, and what happens if it doesn't sell?
Yeah. Very good question. So number one, we underwrite these files and we do so with the utmost of care. And when I say that, I mean the following. Before we will approve your YOMO loan, we are going to do an appraisal of your departing residence. So we're going to have an independent appraiser go out to that home and tell us how much that home is worth so that we know exactly how much equity we're working with there. And we will always use a buffer, right? It is nobody's goal in this transaction to have an unsuccessful transaction, right? Everybody wants this to go smoothly. And a key part is knowing all of the information and controlling all the variables that we can. And an appraisal up front is mandatory. So that's number one. And number two, we move on to looking at the borrower and looking at their qualifications, and we know that during the construction process, that additional payment is covered. But what we want to know is this new house that they're moving into, which is oftentimes a bigger house than what they were in before. Sometimes it's not, but often it is. But we want to make sure they can afford that as well. And so any underwriting for that final loan happens before we start this process as well. So I started this by saying that we take the utmost of care, and we do so by evaluating the property, evaluating the borrower, and make sure that as long as everyone stays on path, we have a successful product at the end.
And I think for customers to understand, all of this happens right up front before construction would ever begin. And so this is all addressed, that appraisal on the existing house. That is, just to be clear, can you just give the timeframes when all of this happens?
Yeah. We will not start a loan. We will not start any of the process until we have an end game. So the whole wheel will not start moving until we know we can get this borrower out of the home. So what happens is a borrower will often pre-qualify with us right up front. They'll decide they want to go with Schumacher Homes and sign on that dotted line. And then they'll, kind of pick do their cabinets and color selections and walk the lot and finalize their home. They'll have their pre-construction meeting, and then we start our loan. And that loan takes 30 to 45 days. That is the time where we're doing all of this underwriting. When that loan actually closes, that's when the borrower gets to start the construction of their new home. So they'll be sitting in their home, kind of watching it as you guys are working your magic.
No, that's a great point. Again, everything's done up front. So again, once we start, you can just sit back and watch your home being built. So Matt, how common is this? How many loans are there out there like this?
Yeah. So we rolled the YOMO product out last year, and it has had incredible success in a year, more than I could have ever predicted. Yeah. We went from largely doing one-time close construction loans to a position where 30 to 35% of the loans that we're closing are YOMO loans. And so essentially what we've done is solved a problem for customers who were stuck in their home. It was a major stopping point. And what's important to acknowledge with this is that this isn't an everyday loan, just on the street that you can call anybody to get. This is a creation of Schumacher Homes and Schumacher Mortgage. And it's the joint partnership of knowing that homes are going to be done on time, knowing the quality of the homes, and being able to trust that the lender's going to come through when the builder pays the closing costs. I mean, it's not an easy thing that can be replicated with any builder, any lender.
Well, it's almost, it goes back to the genesis of this, of the problem. And it was the homeowners being told, great, you want to build, you have a mortgage, you've got to get rid of that mortgage before you do anything. You've got to sell your house. And again, that's kind of, we solve for that problem. And you're right. So what should be the next steps for if someone's interested in this program or a YOMO loan where you only move once? What would be their next step?
Yeah. Get in touch with a mortgage loan originator from Schumacher Mortgage, who can look at your situation, and they'll be able to tell you very quickly whether you'd be a candidate for this program or whether you wouldn't be a candidate for this program. Really simply, they're going to look at the equity that you have in your current home and see if you're in a position. They'll talk to you a little bit about your finances and your reserves and see if it's something that you qualify for.
Yep. I think that's great. And I know one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we have more new construction financing options than any bank in the country. And this is a big part of the business in a program that no one else is able to offer. But we also have many other tools, like if this is not as you go down this, and this is not the situation for you, we have many other innovative products that you can work with. And again, just like in a home, you determine which financing option works best for you and what's most important to you, and then you can go down that path. So what's it feel like when applying for a YOMO loan for a customer to get a finished product?
Yeah, what it feels like is a weight off your shoulders. When I talk to the loan officers, they commonly tell me people say to them, I can't believe I can do this, right? Because every concern that they had financially, juggling the obligations, and then logistically coordinating the move is solved by this one product. And it's seemingly so easy for them that they don't really think it's true.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too. Thanks for watching till the end, and I hope you found it valuable. In our next video, we're going to outline the differences between a $500,000 custom home and a $1 million custom home.